absolutely free. Just
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast. I hope you liked that hockey-heavy start to the show. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case going forward, as tonight is the last game of the NHL season. Kind of bittersweet, but we still have a lot of exciting sports to get to, especially what's happening across the pond in Germany in the European Championships. We are going to be taking a look at the updated Golden Boot odds for the European Championships, especially as we get into the knockout stages. This week is the last round of group stage games, so this is going to be a very interesting deep dive into who the pundits think and bookmakers think are the heavy favorites for the Golden Boot. And I must say, when I was looking at this list, I was thinking this was very skeptical. I was very skeptical of who was on this list. But without further ado, I am here presenting it to you, so make of this list what you will. I'm definitely not beholden to who I see on this list. I would definitely bet someone from outside this list as well. But let's just jump right into it. Interestingly enough, the leading scorer in the Euros is the own goal. It's the own goal. Like yet again, the own goal is leading the race, but there does have to be an overall Golden Boot winner. One person will have to stand alone at the end of the day to claim that award. And looking at this list, there are definitely names who can do it, but ultimately, it's the question of about A, how their team plays, and B, their style of play even. I think that's one of the major things I look at when I look at who leads the list. So, let's just jump right into it. Starting off at number 1, a player who can definitely do it, but it's one of those guys who is mainly faltering due to the overall team play and the system that he's in. And Harry Kane at plus 600. Everyone knows that Harry Kane is a world-class striker. He might just be the best striker in world football right now. But he is being managed by Gareth Southgate. And as everyone knows, Gareth Southgate is not a manager who likes to score goals in bunches. He's very pragmatic. And hey, sometimes it works in tournament-style football, but for the past couple of years, that has been England's downfall. They just have not scored enough goals to kill off games, and by sitting back and allowing teams to dominate possession after they score that first goal, they become much more vulnerable. We've seen it in this tournament as well. Obviously, Harry Kane did score a goal already in this tournament, but he was not encouraged to score more. In fact, he dropped so deep, he dropped so centrally, that there's no way for him to get any service from where he sits on the field. Also, the fact that England are playing so many different players out of position, guys like Trent Alexander-Arnold and Phil Foden, not necessarily playing in positions that suit them, definitely speaks to how this England team is very, very disjointed right now. I think that while Harry Kane, yes, he can be a difference maker, I just don't know if there are enough goals in the squad, especially from how they distribute the ball. I think that the big thing for Harry Kane is he's a service striker. Yes, he can create things on his own, but at the end of the day, strikers do need service, and if you're not receiving any service, how do you expect to put the ball in the back of the net more times than not, especially in a Golden Boot race that can get tighter as the knockout rounds progress? And so Harry Kane at plus 600 is a safe bet, but it definitely gives me pause seeing how England have played in this tournament. Now here's a guy who his role has definitely changed within this team, but definitely can be in the reckoning as the knockout stages go on. And Cristiano Ronaldo. We saw Cristiano Ronaldo play a couple days ago, and he was fantastic in allowing the players around him to really step up. And so that's the question with Cristiano Ronaldo. Is he going to be a goal-scoring threat, or is he going to allow the technical flair and ability of this Portuguese squad to really show, and he's going to stand aside and let other players step into the spotlight? Because Cristiano Ronaldo does create this kind of aura around this Portuguese squad. Yes, they have the technicality and skill to go all the way, sans Cristiano Ronaldo. But with him in the squad, they're a different team, and maybe that affects them in the Golden Boot race. Because of the sheer fact that Portugal right now has a structure and foundation around Cristiano Ronaldo where they can be comfortable without him on the pitch. And so I'm going to have to see how this whole Portuguese setup pans out. They've been playing fantastically well, even when Cristiano Ronaldo is not on the score sheet. So I just feel like Portugal are a new look squad, man. I think that they are one of those teams that, much like, say, Spain, realize that they can adapt to different styles of play and still be successful. And so going forward in this tournament, I'm really focused more on how Portugal plays around Cristiano Ronaldo, knowing that he's on the pitch, rather than Cristiano Ronaldo scoring goals. And that's the reason why I would kind of fade him, but he can still finish chances at the end of the day. Coming in on third in this list, obviously a guy who might not play as much as he wants to in this tournament, just very unlucky player at the Euros, especially in Kylian Mbappe. Obviously, with a broken nose, he's definitely going to have to be handled much more differently than anyone else in that French squad. He's going to have to be monitored because a broken nose definitely affects you in many different ways, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. So, unfortunately, fading Kylian Mbappe seems like the best move for bettors here. So, it's kind of sad to say that, but he still is a goal-scoring threat should he, once he comes back, look back to his best. But right now, I just think that that broken nose is more of a hindrance than people think. Coming in at number 4, this is a huge shock to me and to many German fans because he, after that first game, has not looked like a player who can lead the line. It's Kai Havertz sitting at plus 1,000. Now, the thing about Kai Havertz is he certainly is a fantastically good player for this German squad because of many different reasons. But scoring a goal certainly is not his forte. Kai Havertz is more known for his movement off the ball to create opportunities for other teammates. And so that is why Julian Nagelsmann thinks of him so highly, because of the fact that he gets a lot of production out of his midfielders. And right now, Jamal Musiala, as seen on the scoring charts, is sitting pretty behind a couple of other players and own goal in terms of that midfield setup for Germany. And so Kai Havertz being the only German player on this list is a little bit weird due to the fact that he's not necessarily the guy who I see finishing off Germany's chances, especially now that they have a target man off the bench in Niklas Füllkrug, who could certainly see a lot of game time in the knockout stages when Germany is in these tighter games and they need someone off the bench. So Kai Havertz sitting at plus 1,004th on this list gives me a lot of pause. I would definitely fade him. I would actually look at Jamal Musiala from Germany as someone who could be a dark horse for the Golden Boot. He's certainly going to be in the race for Young Player of the tournament, but Jamal Musiala, just his goal-scoring ability, now that he's in a system that definitely is to his benefit, along with Florian Wirtz, I think those two are seen as more of a goal-scoring threat than a Kai Havertz, who's mainly viewed as a false nine. Everyone knows that he is going to be the guy who moves the defenses away from what's happening in the midfield. And so that's why I do not think Kai Havertz deserves to be on this list. And then another guy from England who I certainly see being hindered, especially by Gareth Southgate, as this tournament progresses, and Jude Bellingham. Obviously, he was the first goal scorer for England, looked the best player in their game against Serbia. But here's the thing about Jude Bellingham. I think that in an England midfield that is very rife with talent, but certainly underutilizes a lot, Jude Bellingham is getting all of his creative nous sucked out of him because of the fact that Gareth Southgate would rather a guy like Declan Rice try and control the tempo of the game rather than a guy like Jude Bellingham make surging runs forward. And so, Jude Bellingham, he's not to blame for what's happening to him. He's not taking himself out of the game. Gareth Southgate is. The system is. Jude Bellingham is meant to be a player that can really help the attack, transitioning from midfield to the attack. And so, Gareth Southgate really, really hindering what Jude Bellingham is all about. And so, I hope that Jude Bellingham can get back into the goal scoring again, because he might be needed to in the knockout stages. But yet again, this England system really drains players of their abilities and what they are able to do both on and off the ball. And so Jude Bellingham, unfortunately, I'm also going to have to fade at plus 1200. Maybe in the knockout stages we might see more of a attack mind in England, but for now I have to fade Jude Bellingham from what I've seen. And last but not least on this list, a guy who ironically would be the leader in the Golden Boot race had it not been for VAR, Romelu Lukaku at plus 1400. We've talked about him a little bit and how his finishing boots have not been on, especially on the international stage. I just don't see him winning the Golden Boot, especially in a Belgian team that has fascinatingly underwhelmed. And so, I'm also fading Romelu Lukaku. Overall, this list, I don't necessarily see anyone on this list really separating themselves from the pack, but it is up to your guys' interpretation. Who do you guys think will win the Golden Boot? Because right now, it kind of is a crapshoot in terms of different players and who might win. So leave your opinions in the comments, if you will. But that should just about do it for this segment. Coming up on the next segment, we are going to do a recap of what have happened in the Euros over the weekend. We had some very exciting games involving some very exciting teams, so you don't want to miss that segment. We'll be right back with that.